A powerful statement by former cabinet minister Professor Jonathan Moyo has once again ignited political debate across Zimbabwe. In a message circulating widely on social media, Moyo wrote, "Evil never wants light shone on what it has done. Evil prefers to dwell in darkness." Although he did not elaborate extensively, many observers have linked the remarks to his ongoing criticism of President Emmerson Mnangagwa and the current political leadership. The statement has quickly divided opinion. Supporters say Professor Moyo is demanding greater accountability and transparency. Critics argue that the comments are politically motivated and unfairly target the government. But what did Jonathan Moyo really mean? Why has his message attracted so much attention? And what does it tell us about Zimbabwe's increasingly polarized political environment? Stay tuned. And before we continue, please subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications for daily Zimbabwe political news and analysis. Let's get into it.
That there is something that he wanted to do in 37 years. But he couldn't do because he was stopped by President Mugabe from doing that, and that he has had to get rid of President Mugabe in order to do that. Is that what Emmerson Mnangagwa wants to say? Is Emmerson Mnangagwa telling the world that he had nothing to do with Gugrahundi atrocities?
He has reached out to those who were affected.
He has not done that. That is a lie. First of all, I was in the leadership with him during the making of Zimbabwe's new constitution that was adopted in 2013. Emmerson Mnangagwa and Patrick Chinamasa, who were the frontline voices for ZANU-PF during that process, fought very hard to ensure that the national peace and reconciliation process that is in the constitution does not have the teeth
or see light of the day.
First of all, they didn't want it. They are the ones who opposed it in ZANU-PF. Emmerson Mnangagwa and Patrick Chinamasa led the opposition of the National Peace and Reconciliation Commission. They did not want it. They came to the Politburo. We had long nights debating. One of the contentious issues is that they didn't want that commission at all. Emmerson Mnangagwa, I want to say and place this on record, did not want the commission. That's number one. Number two, as a result of that, we ended up with a whittled down commission that did not include truth. The proposal was to have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. You cannot have peace and reconciliation when you've had atrocities such as Gugrahundi without truth. Telling. Emmerson Mnangagwa and Patrick Chinamasa succeeded in removing the truth component and got ZANU-PF to accept the current structure that is in the constitution of peace and reconciliation only on grounds that it did not include truth and that it would not look into Gugrahundi atrocities. That's number one. And this is very important because he can't come today and say, I have done this, when very recent history tells a different story. But much more telling is that when the former vice president, Pelegezela Mpoko, was spearheading the bill which became law recently, it was spearheaded in parliament not by Emmerson Mnangagwa, but by Pelegezela Mpoko. Emmerson Mnangagwa and his Lacoste members of parliament gave Mpoko a torrid time. They did not want it. They wanted to kill it. And again, the bill ended up being pulled down because of the opposition that it faced from Mnangagwa and his members of parliament who made sure and
Zimbabwe's political debate continues to intensify as prominent political figures exchange increasingly strong messages over the country's direction. The latest comments come from former higher and tertiary education minister Professor Jonathan Moyo, who has remained one of the government's most outspoken critics since leaving office. Through social media, Moyo has continued commenting on governance, constitutional issues, public accountability, and national leadership. His latest remarks have once again placed him at the center of Zimbabwe's political conversation. In his statement, Professor Moyo wrote that evil never wants light shone on what it has done. Evil prefers to dwell in darkness. Although he did not specifically explain the context within the statement itself, many commentators interpreted the remarks as criticism directed at President Emmerson Mnangagwa's administration. The post immediately generated thousands of reactions online, with supporters and critics offering sharply different interpretations. Supporters of Professor Moyo argue that his statement highlights the importance of transparency, openness, and public accountability. According to this perspective, governments should welcome scrutiny because accountability strengthens democratic institutions and public confidence. Many who share this view believe open discussion is essential for national progress. Others strongly disagree. Supporters of the government argue that Professor Moyo's comments are political opinions rather than objective assessments. They point to government development initiatives, infrastructure projects, agricultural programs, and economic reforms as evidence that the administration remains focused on national development. From their perspective, criticism should also acknowledge progress where it exists. Professor Jonathan Moyo is no stranger to Zimbabwean politics. For many years, he served in senior government positions and was regarded as one of ZANU-PF's leading political strategists. However, following the political changes of 2017, his relationship with the ruling establishment changed dramatically. Since then, he has become one of the most vocal critics of the current administration. Because of that history, every statement made by Professor Moyo tends to attract national attention. Political observers say his experience inside government gives his opinions influence among some audiences, while others remain skeptical because of his own previous role within the same political system he now criticizes. This dual perspective explains why reactions to his comments are often deeply divided. The timing of the statement is also significant. Zimbabwe continues discussing Constitutional Amendment Bill No. 3, governance reforms, leadership succession, economic development, and institutional accountability. Against this backdrop, comments concerning transparency naturally become part of broader national debates. Many citizens continue asking questions about governance, service delivery, and the future direction of the country. Political analysts note that transparency has become a recurring theme in governance discussions across Africa. Citizens increasingly expect governments to communicate openly, manage public resources responsibly, and remain accountable to the people. At the same time, governments often argue that development should remain the primary measure by which leadership is evaluated. These competing perspectives continue shaping political debate throughout the region. Social media has further amplified these discussions. Within hours of Professor Moyo's statement being published, thousands of Zimbabweans had shared, debated, and interpreted his words in different ways. Some viewed the message as a call for truth and accountability. Others regarded it as political rhetoric aimed at influencing public opinion. The speed with which such statements spread demonstrates the growing role digital platforms play in modern political communication. Regardless of political affiliation, Many observers agree that healthy democracies benefit from robust public discussion, constructive criticism, public accountability, and respectful debate all contribute to stronger institutions when conducted peacefully and responsibly. At the same time, political leaders and commentators alike are often reminded that strong language can deepen political polarization if not accompanied by meaningful dialogue. As Zimbabwe continues navigating constitutional reforms, economic challenges, and political debates, statements from influential figures like Jonathan Moyo are likely to remain part of the national conversation. Supporters will continue defending his right to speak openly. Critics will continue challenging his conclusions. And citizens will continue forming their own opinions based on the arguments presented. For now, Professor Jonathan Moyo's message has once again placed transparency and accountability firmly in the national spotlight. Whether one agrees with his remarks or not, they have succeeded in reigniting debate about governance, leadership, and the future of Zimbabwe. The conversation continues, and the country will undoubtedly keep watching. Do you believe public criticism from former government officials contributes positively to national accountability, or does it deepen political divisions? Share your views respectfully in the comments below. If you enjoyed this report, please subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications for daily Zimbabwe political news and analysis. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.